Doogie.
And we're going to be looking at the real sequels. The Star Wars series that happens after Episode 6 in the books and novels, and sometimes comics. And we're going to begin with the Thrawn trilogy. Today we're looking at chapters. We're going for chapters 5 to 7, because who doesn't love politics?
I love democracy. I love
something that rhymes.
So we've saved you. We've condensed the politics into part of this video.
Because yeah, chapters 5 and 6 are kind of short. Not much goes on apart from glorious politics.
Mm-hmm.
But chapter 5, 6, and 7, they're all part of like the one sort of narrative, even though it's split up over 3 chapters. So we just thought it would make more sense to stick them all together, because it's all like they each continue on from one another.
Mm-hmm. So today we open up on a beautiful Coruscant evening once again.
Well, we're in the council chambers with Mon Mothma, Admiral Ackbar, Leia, Han, and Borsk Phalia?
Phila? Yeah.
Phalia, yeah.
I'm happy with Philia. I feel you. I feel you.
Don't touch me.
See, in the comic, the room has a big window. Check out that glorious image.
Oh, yes, okay.
See?
Fair
but
enough.
at the same time, it might be like just a room. It might be like, well, I suppose there's a lot of windows in Star Wars rooms. I'll come back to you.
So basically, this is Han giving his report from when he went to Mos Eisley to contact the smugglers. And he's basically saying that they're not taking the bait, like they're not game for the offer.
So Han's giving them the finger, being like, they don't want jobs, they want excitement. They're smugglers. Like kind of like they don't really see the benefits of it, that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
Excitement, adventure, space trucking.
You gotta put another picture of your dad in.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of Han's like trying to give his report, and he's saying like, yeah, they're just not sure. And Admiral Ackbar, he kind of thought it was a waste of time for him to go in the first place. And Borsk Phalia, so Borsk is a Bothan, and
R.I.P.
Well, yes, exactly. Like, literally, because we're saying this chapter's from Han's perspective, and he's like, he knows that the team of Bothans in episode 6 that got the location of the Death Star number 2 and all died in the process. All those Bothans that died in the process, they were Borsk's team. Han doesn't know the details, but he knows that is why Borsk has like sort of wangled his way onto like the High Council of the New Republic here. Because everyone else we'd met before, like Mon Mothma and Admiral Ackbar, but Borsk is obviously the new Bothan on the street. Borsk and Admiral Ackbar have like a bit of a tiff and a bit of a standoff, because Borsk is basically saying, well, they don't want to join because you're a Mon Calamari, and Mon Calamaris were like death to smugglers. I think it's even mentioned in chapter 2 how the smugglers are probably wary of joining the New Republic because they know Admiral Ackbar's there, and Mon Calamari were so ruthless in hunting down like smugglers even before the Empire. So Borsk is trying to make the point of like, maybe you shouldn't be here, Admiral Ackbar, and Ackbar's just like, go away, grumpy old fish man. There is an excellent wee scene with Mon Mothma, because Borsk and Ackbar are going back and forth, and then Mon Mothma just cuts them both off, and they both shut up as soon as she starts talking, and that's like the end of it. They stop squabbling because she's the one in charge.
Oh, yeah.
And she's just like, stop it. We need to focus on becoming a true government, because we can't claim to be legitimate until we actually start functioning as a legitimate, New Republic.
Mm-hmm.
And once we do that, the smugglers will have more confidence in joining us.
Mm-hmm. Which again is good, because that sets up the like, okay, there's tiffs in the New Republic anyway. They're like even in their own ranks.
Yeah.
But it kind of shows you where exactly the new government's at. It's just forming its infancy, and there's a wee bit of infighting, but there is like proper rule. You can see who really runs the show. It is Mon Mothma. There's no doubts.
And it describes how physically, like, she does look like she's aged over the past 5 years because of obviously the strain of all this government stuff. But it does say in the book, you can still see the fire in her eyes. Her will has not been blunted. Is that a saying?
I'll allow it.
Thank you, sir.
So she bangs the gavel.
Yes.
Court's adjourned.
Yeah, I do love that she has a gavel. Well, yeah, so chapter 5 basically ends with the meeting coming to a close, and Han and Leia are talking about this mission to Bimmisaari. Basically, there's some last minute changes, and Luke is coming along instead of just Han and Leia, because the Bimmisaari, they've got like a thing for heroes, so they want Luke to come along and be part of the negotiations, just because he's, famous in the New Republic. And that's pretty much the end of chapter 5. So chapter 6 opens with the Millennium Falcon landing on Bimmisaari, and so we have Han, Luke and Leia, Chewie, R2 and C-3PO. 3PO is there to translate. Chewie and R2 are going to stay on the Falcon to do some maintenance while they're there. So basically it's Han, Luke, Leia and C-3PO are going down to meet the delegation. So
once again, they screw over Chewie. It's like, the Bimmisaari have a thing about heroes. Battle of Yavin and stuff like that. They're here. Chewie, you better stay on the ship. With your non-metal.
That's the thing, they actually make reference to the Yavin 4 celebration. Because Chewie doesn't want to go. It's written that, at least in the novel, Chewie's like, no, I don't want to go, I can't be bothered with that kind of stuff. And, Luke is saying, come on, you like adoration and stuff. Remember the thing on Yavin and things? And but he's like, no.
I remember I didn't get a damn medal.
Yeah, I know. When I was reading the book there, I was like, does he know it's a thing? Is this some weird in-joke that it's that Chewie didn't get a medal when he should have and stuff? So I couldn't figure it out if it was some weird in-joke or just kind of an oversight. Well, sure, they were all heroes and they just kind of forgot Chewie didn't get a medal. I don't know.
Maybe got one off-screen.
No, it's okay. He got the one in Rise of Skywalker. So that makes up for everything.
Here's one 40 years later, given to you by Butthole Eyes.
So, Han, Luke, Leia, and 3PO walk down off the Falcon onto the landing pad. And the landing pad is just basically surrounded by trees. It's just a wee clearing in the trees. And they're greeted by the Bimmisaari delegation. And they come up and they kind of sing. So, basically, the Bimmisaari, their language is a sort of singing kind of language. So, 3PO translates and stuff. And they say that Han has to leave his blaster on a ship because weapons of violence are not permitted. So Han kind of grumbles a bit, but takes off his holster with his blaster in it and puts it back on the ship. And then they head off. And as they exit out of the trees, there's hundreds of Bimmisaari lining the streets waiting for them to go past. And the delegation that they met just kind of carries on. Not even really acknowledging all these hundreds of people. As they're walking through the crowd, this crowd of Bimmisaari, they're all silent. As Han, Luke, and Leia walk past, the Bimmisaari kind of just reach out and gently kind of brush them on the shoulders and stuff. But it's all just a bit kind of weird because they're all perfectly silent and it's really civilized. But yeah, that's it. That's their thing.
Whatever you're into, bro. Don't kink shing the bims.
Sorry, my apologies. They make their way into the city, and the meeting place is in the Tower of Law, as it's called. And beside it is this marketplace. The marketplace is 3 stories tall, and the Tower of Law is 5 stories tall. So the marketplace is kind of open air. It's a dome kind of roof, but there's no walls to it. It's all very open air market. But yeah, they head into the Tower of Law and they go into the room where the meeting is supposed to be happening. And the Bimmisaari that are in there, they greet Han, Luke, and Leia. But then they say that the chief negotiator has moments ago fallen ill. They're kind of saying, he shouldn't be too long.
He's had a wee bit of telling cards cooking.
Well, perhaps. But yeah, they're well, while you wait, Leia, we could show you around the market that you were asking about. And we also have some, relics and tapestries from the Old Republic. Maybe Han and Luke would be interested in that. And as soon as they say that, all three of them are kind of like, hold on a second, why are they trying to split us up? And they're a wee bit suspicious. But Luke, he like stretches out with the Force, and he says, I don't really feel anything, nefarious going on, so it should be okay. But Han is still kind of suspicious, so he's like, I like markets, I'll go to the market. So Luke goes up to like the museum, and Han and Leia and 3PO go down to the market. Basically the chapter ends with Han, Leia and 3PO walking through the market, and their BIM guide is like telling them the history of the market and all this kind of stuff. And Han is like looking over at a booth at a set of like carving knives, and he turns around to ask something, and C-3PO is like, I think we've lost our guide. And so Han and Leia are like, funnily enough, they don't say I have a bad feeling about this, because it's the classic Star Wars line for this kind of situation.
Yeah.
As Han is like scanning the crowd to look for the BIM guide, he notices 3 short, grey-skinned aliens standing about 5 meters away, staring at him and Leia, and he's like, uh-oh.
We got some neck breathers.
Spoilers, Darren. So Han points them out to Leia, and then does like a sweep of the area, and he's like, there's another like 8 of them, all forming like a rough circle around the 3 of them in this crowded marketplace, and Han notices that they're carrying these like stick things, and they're called
Stockley sticks.
Yes.
We Spider-Man sticks.
Yeah, exactly. And so Han says to Leia, like, these guys mean business because they're carrying these sticks that basically shoot out webbing that can stun, and it can shoot out up to 200 meters away. I think the quote is, these sticks are powerful enough to take out a medium-sized gun dark. So
those things that are notoriously hard to take off their ears.
Yes, indeed. So the final line is basically Leia reaching out to Luke and then telling Han they've got him too. So chapter 7 starts with Luke up in the museum, and he feels Leia reaching out to him. It describes it as like the emotional feeling of like help. So Luke immediately turns and heads for the stairway to go down, because he's up on like one of the upper floors of this tower of the law. So he opens the door to go into the stairwell, and there's a group of the same aliens, short, kind of grey-skinned aliens, and they're pointing sticks at him, and he's like, whoa. So they gesture for him to move like back into the room they just came out of, so he slowly kind of backs into the room, and he's backing up and he's trying to talk to them and say, we can talk, you don't need to get hurt in this, we can just talk, all this kind of stuff. And then he gets to an archway in the room, because there's still like BIM about in the museum, so that's why the aliens that are threatening them haven't attacked, because obviously they don't want to make a scene. So Luke stops in the archway and says, where to now? And the leader of the group gestures, and for a split second the stick that he gestures with is not pointed at Luke, but is pointed at 2 other of the aliens instead. And in that moment Luke activates the trigger on the stick, so the leader sprays 2 of the aliens with the webbing, and Luke does a backflip to get out of the way.
As you do.
Yeah. So he backflips further off to get cover, just in time to like avoid the other webbing sprays from the sticks. So Luke then he runs back into another room, and he starts looking for an exit. Like, it's just another room filled with all these like tapestries hanging on the walls and stuff, and he's looking for an exit, but he can't find one in time because he can hear the rest of those aliens running up to the room after him. So they all run in, and as they're running in, he pulls one of the tapestries off the wall and tries to cover them with it. But it describes how, like, if these were just normal people, they wouldn't have had a chance to like get out of the way. But it's almost like they have superhuman reflexes because they manage to dodge back out of the way and out of the room. So none of them get caught by this tapestry. After that, they start spraying the webbing into the room, but they're not trying to hit Luke. Luke realizes they're sticking the other tapestries to the walls, so that he can't use any other of the tapestries to try and trap them again. At this point, he can still feel like Han and Leia, and he's like,
oh boy, here I go killing again.
basically, yeah, he's like, there's only one way I'm going to be able to get down there in time to actually help them. So he kind of like sighs and locks his lightsaber on, and as the rest of these Noghri run back into the room, he just chucks his lightsaber and decimates them. And like, to their credit, they don't flinch. They see it coming. They like give like a war cry and charge in, even though it, like, he cuts them all down because he's controlling it with the Force. So then Luke's like, he feels a bit conflicted because, you know, he obviously wants to help Han and Leia, but he feels bad that he had to
get on an 8 kill streak.
Well, yeah, basically. Back with Han and Leia, they're slowly being herded out of the market. Again, the Circle of Noghri are trying to do this quietly because they're still in a crowded market, you know, with loads of Bimmisaari around. So Han's quickly like trying to think like, how can I cause like a distraction or something to help us out here and buy us more time? And he says to Leia, see that jewelry box over there in that booth? Throw it at me. So Leia reaches out like tentatively with the Force, and she manages to get like a shaky sort of grip on it and chuck it at Han. So Han catches it, and there's a split second of silence, and then a massive shriek comes from the owner of that booth, and every like Bim in the area like turns to Han and then just jumps on him because they obviously all think he's a thief. And while he's like being dogpiled by all these Bim, he manages to get his comm link out and call Chewie to come in the Falcon. With all the Bim there, like obviously they're blocking the line of sight to the Noghri. So back with Luke, he's walking through that museum still on that level when he hears the shriek, and he's like, I don't have time to like walk down the stairs anymore. I have to get there as soon as I can. So he grabs one of the Noghri Stockley sticks, breaks the window, and shoots it out across and attaches it to the roof of the marketplace. And then he uses it like a rope to like swing down and get down to the ground floor, like down 5 stories to the ground floor. As he's fallen down, the Falcon roars overhead, so it kind of messes with his landing, but it works out okay because it distracts 2 of the Noghri, and Luke is able to dispatch them pretty much instantly.
I'm so conflicted about all this killing. Continues to kill.
Well, yeah, it's okay because he's conflicted about it.
I feel really bad.
So this part of the chapter basically ends with like Luke and Chewie on the main cannons of the Falcon, just dispatching the rest of the Noghri that were surrounding Han and Leia. So the final like scene of chapter 7 is Luke, Han and Leia and 3PO all back on the Falcon. Luke is trying to like clean this webbing stuff off of 3PO because 3PO got hit because he wasn't able to dodge and duck.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. What?
Leia comes in and Luke and Leia are chatting about the meeting and stuff and how she was talking to the Bims and saying they'll be continuing the talks and that they're sorry that one of their members was misguided and made a mistake. And Luke's like, really? A mistake? Is that what we're calling it? You know? And Leia's like, well, this is diplomacy, you know, you can't blame an entire civilization for the actions of one person. Then Han walks in and says, so we've made the jump to light speed. And Leia's obviously just like, what? I told them we'd be right back. So Han replies saying, no, I told them that there'll be a bit of a delay, time enough to get, you know, a few X-Wings or maybe a Star Cruiser to come back us up, because the aliens that try to capture us, they might have friends down there, they might have a ship with them, we don't want to take that risk. Oh yeah, and he says, "Sorry, I didn't have time to discuss it in the committee."
Of course he does.
Yeah, like Luke can feel like the anger kind of like drain out of Leia, and she's just like, with a sort of wry smile, "I am not a committee," you know. The conversation kind of comes around to Leia's training as a Jedi, with Han saying, "I think it's about time that Leia got her own lightsaber." And Luke's like, "I agree, I think it would be a good thing." And Leia, she's a wee bit hesitant. She's saying like she never really felt comfortable with a lightsaber. But then Han says, "All these diplomatic skills that you have will be kind of useless if you're captured by the Empire." And so Leia's like, "Okay, fair enough, I should probably continue the training." And Luke's like, "Yeah, it'll be good if you at least know the basics. I know you have like a different path to walk, but even knowing the basics will be very useful." And it gives the example of like Old Republic Jedi who were like healers and teachers. They still carried lightsabers, even though that wasn't like their primary job. So Leia is like, "Yeah, okay, I'll talk to Mon Mothma and see about getting my diplomatic assignments kind of reduced." When they're talking about training Leia, Luke kind of gets a pit in the stomach, and Leia senses that, but she interprets it as, "Oh, I'm not that bad of a student." She's thinking Luke's worried about trying to teach her, but in reality, it's Luke sort of thinking to himself and remembering what Ben said when Ben was talking to Luke about Darth Vader and saying, "I took it upon myself to train him as a Jedi. I thought I could instruct him just as well as Yoda. I was wrong." And that's pretty much how the chapter ends.
See, the only thing that would make sense there is he's worried about training Leia. Perhaps what he should do is just like kill her kids and then go and live by himself on a rock. Get some titty milk. In that order.
Sounds like a solid plan.
Yeah, that's exactly what Luke Skywalker would do. That's his that's his motif. It's like when the going gets hard, the hard get killing.
Now I just say it, like, I'm really disappointed that's not where this book goes.
Yes, every good story should end with green titty milk.
Yeah.
And that's where this story ends, so join us again next week.
Yeah, we can't be bothered doing a proper outro, so
that's why everyone's now seeing this.
Bye.